Welcome to the Pin Down. January 18th, the Avenue Bar Grill in Owosso, Michigan hosts a day of exciting super matches, as well as putting the women's Overgrown Promotions right-handed championship into circulation. Zane Geeting faces off against John Isola in a best-of-5 right-handed match. John, who is sitting at number 2 at 242 pounds in Ohio, is bringing a plethora of table knowledge to use against newcomer Geeting. With just one tournament under his belt, Zane showed that he's ready to jump in with both feet as he won that tournament. No stranger to competition, as he's been competing in powerlifting for 20-plus years. At the pro level for 8. He competed in the 198, 220, and 242 weight class with several years in the top 10 world rankings. Zane also has state, national, and Arnold Classic titles. His best raw lifts are 740-pound squat, a 440 bench, and a 705-pound deadlift. Geeting is enjoying his transition into arm wrestling. He says it's been very humbling and super fun. Isola has over 35 years in heavy highway construction, especially bridge site development. John started arm wrestling in high school and went to a couple of local Jack Daniel tournaments. Once he graduated in 1989, he only did bar tournaments until 2001, where he entered the Harley pole. Isola wasn't exactly sure what to expect, but did beat Gerald, which at the time was a 4-time national champion. It took John everything he had to get that win. He was knocked out of the event in the next 2 rounds. As Isola continued to other events, he qualified at Hudson Leather to go to St. Ignace to qualify for Michigan State Championships. In the final round, John suffered a humorous break in his right arm. After the break was healed, he did not make it back to competitive arm wrestling besides local bars. Fast forward 17 years, and Isola's son wanted to enter an event and got pulled back into it around 2018. Watching his son compete relit the fire for the sport. From 2018 until now, John said he has held his own against a lot of top pros in surrounding states. His joy for the sport feeds his competitiveness. He also states his goals today are limited due to his age, but a few lingering goals he wants to achieve. We have Brandon Clark versus Matt Shain in a best-of-5 left-handed match at 220 pounds. Shain is continuing his journey to the top in the 220-pound rankings, as he has done well enough to take the number 9 ranked Michigan 220 spot and was able to win in a dominant fashion. He plans to continue to push forward one guy at a time, mostly focusing on his left and rehabbing his right shoulder that is slightly injured. Brandon got into arm wrestling growing up with Scott, Ben, and Gabe White. He also learned from Brian Bowerman. He fell in love with it from then on. Pierece battles Nick Rappley at 176 pounds in the right-hand division. With ranking adjustments from Pierce's last match, he has moved from number 10 at 176 pounds to number 7. Reisinger brings 5 years of experience to the table. 27-year-old Rappley has been arm wrestling on and off for around 2 years. He took 3rd in the 176-pound novice division at Michigan State Arm Wrestling Championships last year. This will be his first super match. I'd like to take a second to acknowledge those that make this show possible: Snap Fitness in Coopersville, Ionia, and Grand Rapids, Gripzilla, and Johnny O Productions. Next up, we have Bear Paw Mikey Lemson takes on Keagon Beggs in the right-hand super heavyweight division. With 1 day before the match, Beggs will have a year of experiences making a name for himself, besting Ben at 3-2 right-handed at the last Club Wars event. At 17 years of age, he'll be doing the Nationals in Ohio in the under-18 division. Lemson has been on the table for 3 years with his continued training. He'll be playing in the East vs. West Novice Finals this year. In a high-horsepower match in the right-handed super heavyweight division, Austin Lance goes up against a very quick David Cox. Lance has been involved with arm wrestling his whole life. While some 8-year-olds were playing with action figures, Austin was on the table competing in his first tournament. To me, it seems like Austin's son is going to follow in his footsteps, as he won the kids tournament over this past year. David, a Muskegon, Michigan native, has been around the sport all of his life as well. His dad, Steve Cox, is one of the greats in Michigan in the 80s, 90s, and some of the 2000s, until he just couldn't do it anymore. David just loves the pole and feels honored to be able to compete. It's what drives him. He loves having the rush and nerves of competition. Next, we have Tom Radigan versus Jordan Graham in a right-handed best-of-5 at 220 pounds. With both of these men just sitting behind the top of the class at 220 pounds, Tom is looking to bump Jordan off his number 2 spot in Michigan. With Radigan pulling for 6 years and in 2nd place in the Masters Division of Michigan State, we will have to see if he has what it takes to bring down a very strong Jordan Graham. Jordan got into arm wrestling 4 years ago after meeting Roger Cunningham and began training at Matt's Redneck Bar. Jordan's personal message to Tom: I'm going to go through him like gas through a funnel. On to the ladies. As well as a night of super matches, the OGP Women's Right-Handed Championship will be up for grabs in a round-robin tournament. For those of you that are not sure what a round robin consists of, it's where all participants face each other once. There is no double elimination bracket like a tournament. If you beat an opponent, you receive a point, and vice versa. Once all competitors have faced off, the person with the most points is the winner. This will not be an easy task as Kelly Bills has her eye on her third title belt. She currently holds a Too Strong For You left and right-handed women's belt, as well as earning bronze, silver, and the gold girl at Michigan State Arm Wrestling Championships. Matt Bourdon faces off against the 154-pound left-handed champion Anthony Gravedigger Swanson. Swanson got into the sport for the boys at the time. River Lane and his son Anthony Swanson Jr. The boys met Dan Blanchard at the first tournament they attended, hosted by Chad Weston and Cadillac. The boys thought he was the coolest, with Dan showing the boys his belt, his training tool, and invited them to sit with him. Swanson also likes the atmosphere with how close everyone was to each other. Matt Bourdon is no stranger to the sport, amassing win after win, with hundreds of trophies and awards, including state, national, and world championships. Matt is the owner of the Redneck Bar in Howard City, where he holds practices on Thursday. It is one of the biggest practices on the west side of Michigan. With Bourdon being a barn builder with Bourdon Construction, does he have what it takes to put the hammer down on Anthony, or the Gravedigger bury Matt's chances? Who's bringing the belt back home? Coming all the way from Ohio, Drew Doan will face Sticky Gerald Johnson in a right-handed match. The Super Heavyweight OGP left-handed title is on the line once again as yours truly, Chris Hazelton, goes up against a very tough Steve Perez. With Perez grinding his way to the #1 spot in the Super Heavyweight division right-handed, he now sits in the top 5 of the division in the left-handed class. This will be my third defense since winning the Overgrown Promotions title in March of 2024. In a David versus Goliath exhibition match, I will be facing off against 176-pound 2024 Arm Wrestling Hall of Fame Dan Blanchard in the best-of-5 right-handed match. With me being involved with the sport for almost 4 years, I have nowhere near any of the accomplishments Dan has. Blanchard is the owner of both 176-pound Gorilla belts, holder of the OGP 176-pound left-handed belt, 38 state championships, 13 undefeated national championships, and 6 undefeated world championships, winning both the left and right hand in Florida, Malaysia, and Greece. Dan trained with Scott Hazelwood and Cobra Rhodes. Hopefully I can put that 110-pound weight advantage to good use. We have 242-pound right-handed OGP champion Bret Kopkau defending his belt against Cody Scalf in a best-of-5 on January 18th. With Cody just over 3 years into the sport and finally being more active, he says he's all in the past 12 weeks. Scalf brings a background in powerlifting and he loves to compete. He first got into arm wrestling by watching Larry Wheels on YouTube during COVID, as well as a lunchroom table as a high schooler. Today's Scalf incorporates specific arm wrestling training into his powerlifting workouts. His goal is to become #1 in the 242-pound class, and from there, #1 overall in Michigan. Bret, on the other hand, is holding that #1 spot in Michigan at 242 pounds. Despite being relatively new to the sport with about a year of competition under his belt, Kopkau has defied the odds and put the work in to take that spot with consistent work at practice, working on upgrading his skill set. Will Cody have what it takes to knock Bret off the top of the ladder? We also have a few matches coming in last minute. We might see Paladin Noah versus Zach Brown, as well as Mitch Skelly versus Chainsaw Jack John Diffin. See another great night of arm wrestling from OGP and No Wimps Arm Wrestling on January 18th in Owosso, Michigan at the Avenue Bar and Grill. I would also like to thank those that support Chris Hazelton Arm Wrestling page, as well as episodes of the Pin Down. Snap Fitness in Coopersville, Ionia, and Grand Rapids. Coopersville is my home gym, and that's where you can find me when I'm not on the table. Gripzilla, find them online at gripzilla.co. I use their arm wrestling training handles every time I'm at the gym. Be on the lookout for a video soon reviewing the new Gripzilla Tornado. A small but powerful tool, perfect for boosting your grip, wrist, and forearm strength. Johnny Ortiz, better known as Johnny O, a Marine veteran. If you're looking for an announcer for your next event, find Johnny O on Facebook. I'm Chris Hazelton. Thank you for watching another episode of The Pin Down.